Well, folks, in today's video, we're going to be running all of my Sealiner locomotives. These are all the Sealiner locomotives in my collection, which I've picked up throughout the years in a variety of different ways. Some of them are from train shows, others are from train shops, and I picked up some of them through eBay lots and things like that. They're all in a variety of different road names and paint schemes, and the Sealiner engines, in my opinion, are a really nice design of engine. You don't see a lot of them like this, so getting to watch all these things run around the layout today I think is going to be very pleasant. They all run to some extent, some probably better than others, but we'll try to run them all anyway. And yeah, I think it's going to be quite enjoyable getting all these Sealiners out on the main line. So anyway, without further ado, let's run some of these. We're going to begin with the Union Pacific over here, and eventually work our way to the Wabash A8 set from Rivarossi. So yeah, let's run these engines. So let's begin with our Union Pacific locomotive here. I think I picked this thing up for $20 or so at Rob's Hobby World in Florida. And this engine does run to my knowledge. None of these really run perfectly. They're all four-wheel drive locomotives, all by AHM or Rivarossi. But in any case, they're very basic engines, and they're pretty reliable actually, which is something kind of nice. And if we give this one some power, you can see it has no issues zipping around the layout here. We'll put her in a full throttle and bring it back around. It really is just such a nice style locomotive. Can't help enjoy watching these things go around. So there's our Union Pacific model. Next up, we've got a Southern locomotive. This one's got a really nice paint scheme to it. I'm quite a big fan of this thing. And in any case, we'll set it up on the track. As I recall, this is one of the better runners of the lot, so we'll see if that's still the case. Giving this thing some power here, and yeah, this thing actually runs fairly quiet, which is kind of surprising for a locomotive of its type. Yeah, regular current draw for a locomotive of its kind. Once again, I don't know, just watching these Sealiners go around, there's just something kind of enjoyable about them. Streamlined locomotives in general look good, especially when they're going fast. Give this thing full power here. And there is that. Next up, we've got a different locomotive. A little bit less familiar with this one. It's the Illinois Central. I think this one runs okay. I got it in a birthday lot of locomotives a while back, maybe 2017 or so. And I think it runs moderately well. I don't know when it was last lubricated though, so may need some maintenance in the not so distant future. But give it power, it fires right to life. It's running okay. It is quite a nice paint scheme too. Looks quite good in my opinion with a green backdrop. So there's that number. Next up we got one from one of my favorite railroads, Canadian National. I picked this thing up for, well, the price is still on it, $10. I think it was at the OVAR flea market. And I've always wanted a Canadian National Sealiner, so when I saw this thing going cheap, I was like, hey, what the heck? It could be in better condition, but hey, it's got some history, it's got some miles on it. Not really bothered much by that. And it does run, which for $10 isn't bad. In fact, it's very quiet and even fairly efficient. So yeah, you really can't complain for that kind of money there. So yeah, it's a fine engine. Looks like the light on it, unfortunately, is no longer working. But yeah, what can you do? Wouldn't be hard to give it a new one anyway. So there's our CN locomotive. Next up, we've got a Chesapeake in Ohio locomotive. This one was very generously sent in from a gentleman by the name of David Z to G scale. And the paint scheme on this one, it's got to be one of the coolest of the bunch. I mean, just look at that. Really, really nice. Anyway, we'll get this thing set up on the track here and take it for a run around. I can't remember how this thing runs, but in any case, we'll give it some power and see how it does. Yeah, the current draw on this one is definitely a little bit higher, but it is a runner nonetheless. I think it had a working light too. Yeah, there it is, working headlight. It's fairly consistent running too, which is good. You don't want to get ones that stutter too much, obviously. Usually that can be corrected if you just clean up the wheels and contacts and things like that. I think this one was serviced not long after I got it, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, there is that. And then next up we've got another one. This one is, I think, the kind of least running one of the bunch. It does run, just not terribly well. I actually got this thing in a lot. Basically, Mark of M&M Rails had acquired a whole bunch of locomotives which he had wanted to resell. None of them really ran, so he asked if I would repair them all, and then the deal was for every 2 locomotives that I repaired, for example, I would get one. So I got half of the lot, so this is one of them from there. It really never ran perfectly. It's definitely an engine which was not well maintained by its previous owner, but in any case, it does run nonetheless, so we'll give it some power here. And, okay, it didn't start, but it's going the wrong direction. Okay, we're gonna give it a little more power here. There we go. And we're gonna give it the full amount of power to get it going here. And for probably about 18 or 20 volts of power, that is not terribly fast. Not too concerned about it burning up because it's not drawing a crazy amount of current. I think it's mostly just electrical issues because the current is actually all over the place. But what the heck, it is a runner nonetheless, and I mean, it was a free engine basically too, so you really can't complain about something like that. Plus, pulling a Santa Fe train, I think this thing would look really good. It's just the streamlined design, especially with the Santa Fe's war bonnet paint scheme, is just really something great. Nice silver, red, and yellow, really quite nice stuff, so... yeah, it's an alright engine. Maybe with a bit of work we could get it running even better, which would be quite nice. Now, this next set I'm about to run has a bit of a different history than the other ones. I actually bought these 2 engines separately. One, I believe it was this one, was from Larkspur Line Train Store. It was something like $6, which was a really exceptional deal. And the other one I picked up in an eBay lot. Now, one of them had a completely bad truck, which I actually had to buy a reproduction part for, and it also had, one of them had a pretty bad motor, so I turned one of them into a dummy, but I was never able to figure out the electrical system because they both seem to want to draw current from the same truck. I don't know exactly how that system worked. I could probably figure it out if I tried hard enough, but instead what I ended up doing was I just wired them together, so since one's backwards, it picks up power from one rail, and the other one picks up power from the other. So they're kind of like a permanent AA set, and it actually runs decently with the better motor and the brand new reproduction truck. They're all right. Anyway, we'll take it over to the track and take it for a test run here. I'm gonna pick it up like this because these things don't hold on to, the shells don't hold on to the body perfectly, basically. So in any case, if we get this thing all set up on the track here, we should be able to take it for a run. They can only run kind of in one direction too. It's probably a gearbox problem, but if I try to run them in the other direction, the current draw goes really high, so that's not great. But let's give it some power here. I don't know if that was the good direction or not. Okay, this is the good direction. Yeah, so there they both are. They've got a Rivarossi drive, which is, I would probably argue, better than the AHM drives most of these things have. I mean, they've got Rivarossi motors with bearings, which is really nice. 1950s era 3-pole motors, but they're the best of the crop out there, really. And this model also has a working light. It's running more efficient than ever. When I first got this set working, it was drawing a full amp, and now it's down to like a quarter of an amp, so the engine has definitely got more efficient over the years, which is absolutely excellent. Really kind of a success story of the collection, taking a couple of pretty much junked engines and getting them both running. And they both have a really cool paint scheme. I think they look quite good as an AA set. And hey, kind of some classic 1950s Rivarossi. Really can't go wrong there. So yeah, it's a set that I really like. Quite a nice part of the collection. So yeah, that's it for the Rivarossi set. Well, folks, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. I certainly enjoyed getting to run all these classic sea liners around the layout. Just such a cool design of locomotive. It's nice getting them out once in a while. And a lot of them actually performed better than I was expecting, which is nice to see. And, you know, even for the ones which don't run so great, I'm sure with a little bit of work, we could probably turn those into decent runners as well. So anyways, with that, I'd like to thank you all so much for watching.